yeah, Councillor Powell and I attended, as we did Westview Loop, which was to extend the perimeter of the existing garden, a big land, down to the road, and this would allow extra parking and landscaping, and we supported that. Upcott Farm we didn't visit, as we felt that as councillors we visited, I think, 3 or 4 times in the past, and it's for a residence that was already agreed under PDQ, but the planning officer and the applicants are having a spat re the entrance. It's an existing entrance to the site, but planning for some reason are not happy with it, but we've supported. The entrance is there, has been for donkey's years. Now the one we have a problem with is Colleton Cross, which I did send a note to Keith and copied in all councillors. This is a hybrid of 2 previous applications with a change in design. And as before, what we're doing is we are supporting the footprint, but not the height. Each application has changed in style slightly. The original application went 3.6 metres to the eaves, and then it had quite a sharp apex to the roof. This application has gone 4.5 metres to the eaves, and then it's a less pointed apex. So what I've done is, as I said, suggested that EDDC actually go out and visit the site in person, because it's a difficult corner. It is at the junction of Broadhembury Road and the A373. And once the building is above fence height, it will actually dominate that area. But we have got the difficulty in that the applicant is saying it might, if necessary, he will go back to his original application, if that makes sense. The one slightly narrower with the pointed roof, but quite honestly, it's a quirk of planning law. I don't know whether or not he can abandon these 2 and go back to the original. Unfortunately, the original, sounds very complicated, was not visited by the parish council, as there was a certain World Cup on and a muddle with the dates.
Okay, Edwina, thanks. No other points on planning?
No, no, that's enough.
Okay, sorry, I should have said at the beginning, it is better if you can put your microphone on mute when you're not talking. It just prevents any background disturbance, and then just click on unmute when you need to talk, or somehow signal to me that you want to talk. Correspondence. Do we have any other correspondence than the correspondence from Kerswell residents? I don't think we do, Keith, do we?
No, we don't.
Okay. Kerswell. Sorry, go ahead.
I think we do. I've noticed Jackie Rock is actually present. Jackie is the new bookings clerk for the hall, so I can introduce her to everyone. Jackie lives at North Hill Farm, I believe, in Broadhembury, and Jackie has contacted the parish council meetings. So whether you want to make a decision whether we are going to meet in person at the next meeting or not, Jackie needs to know.
Jackie, we can't make a decision about September now. It would be nice if we could use the hall. You're still on mute, so you won't be able to reply to me. The question about are we willing to clean up, disinfect after the meeting, I don't think we are actually. I think I tend to look at that as a responsibility of the trustees, and if you want to up the cost of the hire fee, then that will be absolutely fine. But we can't undertake to clean the seats, the toilet, the tables, the floor, and everything after we've booked, I'm afraid.
Okay, I'll take that back as a point at the next meeting.
What else was in your anything else in your correspondence? Hang on, Nick. No. Okay, Nick, go ahead.
What about this thing? If it's not used prior or after for 72 hours, you don't actually have to worry about all this. Because I thought hotels and stuff, you don't actually have to in-depth clean if it's not used for 72 hours. So if we were going to use the hall on, say, on a Tuesday and it hadn't been used prior or afterwards for 72 hours, the deep clean isn't needed.
I don't know, Jackie. You may not know the answer, but I mean, don't worry too much about that. Just Dan, did you want to ask something?
I was going to make the same point as Nick.
Okay.
72-hour periods.
Okay, Jackie, do you want to take it away and discuss with the trustees and come back to us?
I will do.
Okay, thanks. Kurzweil, now, Stuart, let me just assume that you want to speak on behalf of Kurzweil first. Would that be okay?
Certainly, yeah. I think we're at the kind of position where we wanted to be from the start. We welcomed your letter, Bob. Thank you very much with your responses to the questions that we'd asked. And that did in fact answer most of what we had initially requested. And certainly the conversation I've had with Adrian was very constructive. And Adrian did say to me now that Broadhembury Parish Council doesn't intend to stop paying the insurance, which is great news. That's what we wanted all along. And when I explained to him plans for the common land and that we're actually going to try and see whether it's possible to get a change of purpose on a patch that's just left scrub and that the common holders don't actually use or wish to use and would support the conversion of that into an area that could be a permanent playground. Then Adrian said that the Parish Council would support us in that venture. Until that point, we will still have a lease on the current land where the playground is held, and that will be a rolling lease year on year for £1 a year. But again, the landowner, although not wanting to extend a longer lease on that plot, they have supported the conversion of the common land into village green status for a play area, and have even offered to do the clearing of that land free of charge to help us with that. So I think we're at, from my perspective, certainly, we're at the place that we hope to be right from the very start. We've had the answer to our questions, we've got the support of the Parish Council, and it sounds to me as if we're not going to lose our playground, which is great news all round.
Let me apologise first of all for the mistaken impression which was got from the letter. We didn't intend to give the impression that we were going to close the playground, so I apologise for any impression that was given there. I understand that you would like us to become the leaseholder on that. Is that correct?
No, what the landowner has asked for is wants 3 signatories on the lease, and he feels that having the Parish Council, one of the signatories on that lease, as the body that's paying the insurance, would probably be a good sort of result for everybody, really. And I'm inclined to agree with him, because the Parish Council will be stakeholders ultimately. So I think that's a reasonable request on the landowner's behalf. I would be signing as a witness just on behalf of Kurzweil, and obviously Paul Cottrell has already signed it.
Okay, well, I think the easiest thing to say is, in principle, of course, we'd like to help you do this. So in principle, we would, of course, like to become a signatory to the lease, we do need to look at it. I mean, I think it only appeared sort of sometime today, so we do just need to look at that.
Yeah, so I only received it last night, so yeah, I understand that you're going to want some time to have a look through it.
So what I would propose is that we just agree amongst ourselves. We actually empower 3 parish councillors to just go ahead and negotiate with you, negotiate with the Cotterells, whoever about it. There are just 2 issues on scanning I just think need to be dealt with. You won't be able to answer them now. One is, I see that barbecues would not be permitted in the draft of the lease that we have, and you just need to think about what that would mean for Kerswell residents who have been using it for barbecue purposes. And the second thing is, I believe, I'm not entirely certain of this, other parish councillors have views, but I'm not actually going to invite them to talk at this stage because we could go on forever. It's going to be tough for us to get either Section 106 money or other grants to improve the quality of the equipment with just a 1-year rolling lease. So we just need to explore that and see what we can do about it.
No, we understand that, Bob, and I don't think we'll be trying to, on the basis of what the landowner is requesting, we won't be seeking to upgrade the equipment that's currently there, with the exception of the picnic benches. I've actually taken chainsaw to the ones that were in there 2 nights ago. We're going to replace those with recycled plastic picnic benches. The reason why I've chopped out the other ones is they were actually dangerous. They'd rotted away and were falling apart. So they're no longer in place.
They had it was rated as moderate in the report, wasn't it? Have you taken your saw to the fence behind the goalpost too?
I've taken the shelter away next to the goalposts. The fence isn't actually, I mean, that's the landowner's for his field. He does have a barbed wire fence the other side of it as well, but actually the fence isn't sort of part of the playground as such. So,
okay. All right. Well, these are all things to talk about. Then just the final thing to log with you before I invite other residents from Kerswell to come in. I don't actually know, but I suspect not, that we couldn't remove one illegal structure on common land and replace it with another one.
No, we're not talking about removing any structure. So between the playground and the bike jumps,
yeah,
it's a patch of scrub land. It's just brambles and thistles and nettles and nothing more.
Yeah.
So the chapels, who are the common land, that have the rights to the common land,
yeah,
have said that they would support trying to get the use of that piece changed to allow us to have either village green status or some other status to put a play park on there.
Okay, it is common land though, I think, isn't it?
It is common land, yes.
Okay.
So having researched it, it's within the rights holders' sort of ability. They can apply to set up a commons council, which then becomes a legal entity and can make legally binding decisions as to the use of the land. So that's something we're exploring at the moment. I've spoken to the chapels about that, and we need to approach Devon County Council to see exactly how that can sort of move forward, really.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's see how it can move forward. Nick. Nick, you're on mute.
Would it be a good idea to approach a lot? So there's several properties in Kerswell who have rights to the common land. So it's not just the chapels in their house deeds of the houses, isn't there? I know where Steve Everley used to live, I can't remember what it's called now. I can remember him saying he had like 3 geese and a goat type thing. So it's not just the chapels who have a thing to the actual commons. And it's not a free-for-all for the whole of Kerswell. It's certain properties, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And we've sent, or I've sent a survey around to every household in the village asking if there's any objections or anybody that has any other ideas what they would like to do with it. And we haven't received any back. So whether we need to get those houses involved sort of in writing, I don't know. That's probably something that the parish council will advise on and get involved in that point. But certainly at the moment, there's been no objections from anybody in Kerswell.
Okay, I mean, what Devon County Council might say to you is that you have to apply to the Secretary of State for this, but, you know, let's take that where we get to, because that's the deciding authority on the change of use for common land, other than the things listed in rights of common. So, you know, let's just see how far we get. Do you have a view about the BMX track? Because we were also, quite a few people wrote to us about that as well.
My personal view is I don't have any burning issues with it from a personal perspective. As long as it's being kept clean and tidy, and those that are using it are respectful to the residents and to the environment, I'd much rather see kids jumping around on bikes than playing on computer games. I'm aware there are a minority of residents probably within the village that object to it, and I understand their objections and to some extent sympathise with them. Nikki's quite passionate because her son is one of the children that uses the bike track on a regular basis. So it's, yeah, I think there's certainly mixed feelings amongst Kerswell around the bike track. So.
Okay, maybe the next meeting, could you sort of come back to us and tell us what you think the sort of prevailing view is?
Yeah, again, I sent a survey around with regards to the bike track, and I only had 8 responses come back, and 6 of those responses were, okay. I think only 3 were vehemently against it. So
okay, it's had a bit of a cleanup recently, but that isn't the point so much. The point is the legality of the thing. Anyone else from Kerswell want to say anything?
Yeah, I think Jackie is the one who did the cleaning up, so I think you need to speak with Jackie.
I think Dylan's on the call. Dylan himself actually did a lot of the cleaning up, and Dylan being one of the chaps that's using the bike track and helped form the bike track many years ago.
Dylan, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, as was said, the site's been cleaned up. The litter we've always stayed on top of, but I guess there was a build-up period whilst I wasn't able to get out there because we were locked down. But as far as things go now, it is perfectly tidy, and the litter has been dealt with on a weekly basis.
So, Dylan, are you one of the users?
I am indeed, yes, since 2003.
So you were sort of an original builder, really?
I am, yeah. I also was involved with all the council meetings that took place several years ago as well.
Okay. Anyone else from Kerswell want to say anything? Sorry, Keith, are you signalling you want to say something? Keith, you're on mute.
Something to Matthew Cottrell, and he's anxious about the noise and the bad language that from the users of the bike trucks when they're there.
Okay.
In response to that, that must be a real minority, because never on any occasion that I've been present at those tracks have I heard any swearing. So it's a minority that's giving the foundation the jumps.
Okay, well, Keith, actually, Stuart did mention that. Sorry, the person with Stuart, you want to say something?
Yes, on the topic of bad language, my son, who does use the track on a regular basis, he's only 10. So I do make it my business to go up there quite often. And I can say that if I felt that there was any behaviour that was negative or bad language, I wouldn't be allowing him to go up there. I found every time I've been there that everybody's spoken nicely, pleasantly, and what I particularly like is the very supportive way that the older children and Dylan are being with the younger children. I think it's a very valuable part of our little community, really.
Okay. Right, we'll leave it till you come back to us, Stuart, when you've got the views from your survey as to what people want to do.
Yeah, sure. I think just to go back on the comment of Matthew Cottrell had concerns. I've spoken to Matthew Cottrell on quite at length about it, and I think it was 1 or 2 occasions when people from outside, and it was during lockdown as well. We did have an influx of people when lockdown was in place that were coming from out with the county, in fact, to come and use the jumps. I think off the back of an article that had been written by one of the Athertons, and I think on those occasions there was some bad language, and Matthew had gone round and spoken to them because his daughters were in the riding manage the other side. But yeah, I think I think his concerns have been addressed. He doesn't have a particular issue with the majority of people using it, but there was 1 or 2 occasions.
Okay. Stuart, we also had an email which you were copied in on from David Hinshelwood.
Yeah.
Was he writing in his private capacity, or was he writing as a member of Kerswell Residents Association?
No, that was in his private capacity. David isn't part of the KVA. And I spoke to Adrian about this earlier. The subject matter within that letter all happened long before my time in Kerswell, so I can't speak with any authority as to the accuracy of what's been written or what hasn't been written. What I could say, his overall feeling of Kerswell not particularly having seen a great deal of benefit from the parish council is felt by others, again from things that have happened before my time in Kerswell. But that does seem to be a fairly common feeling, and I spoke to Adrian about it and suggested that, you know, there is a little bit of a confidence building exercise that could perhaps be done by the parish council to try and redress that, because it's simmering away, and I think it probably needs to be dealt with sooner rather than later.
Okay. Well, since he's written to us, we have to reply, but I won't use the time of the meeting to do that. We'll have to send him a reply separately, because he's also not in this call, although that was, you know, an option open to him. Anything else at all about Kerswell that you want to raise with us now, given we're now in public forum? Edwina, you want to come in a minute? I'll just ask Stuart first.
Not today, Bob. No.
Okay. Well, please do join our parish council meetings in future. I mean, one day we'll do it in person rather than this way. But please do log in every time. Edwina, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this feeling of Kerswell being left out, I think, is almost just a recent thing. I can remember a lot of the Kerswell people raising a terrific amount of money for the memorial hall. I mean, Rob's sitting there. His mother was an absolutely massive presence, as were the chapels. I think it might be a generational thing. You've got a lot of new residents who perhaps we do need to encompass how they feel and get to know them. But they've always, joined in, the likes of your Woneses, they've done thousands and thousands of pounds worth of fundraising for the parish.
I don't think the feeling is amongst the newer people in Kerswell, because we don't have the background story to have that feeling. It seems to be among the sort of longer sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Longer standing residents. Thank you.
Longer toothed, were you going to say?
Yes, that's the word. So no, I don't think that's entirely accurate. But I think your comments about the support that people from Kerswell have given to the village hall in Broadhembury, and indeed I've been told some of the Kerswell residents helped raise money for the playground in Broadhembury, maybe be part of the feeling that perhaps it's about time Kerswell saw some benefit back as well, because that people have raised a lot of money for the parish council to spend on other projects, but Kerswell itself hasn't had anything other than the insurance on the playground.
Okay. Robert, you were going to come in?
Just to support in general what's been said on the Kerswell stuff. I think that I grew up here, but I've only just returned, and I think that the phrasing in that last letter was unfortunate and led to people who would be moderate being slightly frustrated by the perspective that Broadhembury was, like you say, you didn't intend us to think that you were going to shut down the playground, but that is how it came across. And I think that was unfortunate and may have got people's backs up. So I think there are plenty of ways that we can move forward quite happily. So I don't think it's necessarily a long-term problem, but that, again, that's from my perspective, having returned. I was surprised to see the level of us and them in the letter that came round.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, if there's nothing else, sorry, Adam, we need to close it there, really. Unless there's something, please. What we'll do is we'll find 3 parish councillors who can, work on this lease with you.
I've had my hand up several times and been ignored. So if you wouldn't mind, just to give me 2 seconds, I thoroughly support the playground and the bike path if it's necessary. And I really think that once these facilities are gone, they're gone forever. So I've only been a parish councillor for just over a year, so I'm speaking totally out of turn. But I see the theme of the hamlets being overlooked and Broadhembury being more important as a recurring theme, but it does cut both ways. So I would hope that Kerswell will tell us what they want, and I hope we'll help to get it. And I will thoroughly support that, not for my own end, because I think it's important. When our kids were young, we grew up in Tallerton and we had no playground. We used to go to Hembury and our kids absolutely loved it. So playgrounds are so important, particularly during lockdown. They become even more important for kids to play and learn. So thoroughly, and I think that I'm speaking for most of the parish councillors, if not all of them. So sorry to butt in, Bob. There you go.
I'll have to send you back into the waiting room, won't I, Adam? Okay, thanks very much, everyone. I mean, do stay on for the other items, those of you who joined just for Kerswell, because I'm sure you'll find something interesting. So Dylan, don't disappear off and go to the jumps. You've got lots of other things that you can listen about. And thank you for your comments and for your time. Item 8, highways priority roads. Viv?
Yeah, Nick and I had a meeting with Phil Morgan, who's the Devon Highways person with responsibility for our parish amongst another 30-something. And he's introduced sort of what matters most programme, which he's very keen on because he's introduced it. And the idea is to go around the parishes and ask them to identify the priorities. So he met with Nick and I, and the priorities were in terms of the roads that are used most in the parish, where we think the biggest issues are on the roads, and where the biggest flooding or drainage issues are, and quite often they're related anyway. So Nick and I tried to prioritise, and the map he's produced doesn't actually show our priorities as such, but highlights all of the areas that we have identified. That doesn't mean, I'm afraid, that they're going to get addressed this year or maybe even not next year, but it does mean that he has a better idea of where our priorities lie. And just the fact that we engage with him, I hope, means that we have at least some credence when it comes to his apportioning of resources. So we shall see. 373 doesn't get included, by the way, because that's a higher authority than parish council.
Okay, thank you. Dulford Traffic Initiative, Chris?
Yes, we've had recently had a reply back from Darren, the PCSO. He should know in the next few weeks when Speedwatch training can resume. I've just given him a rough itinerary of what equipment we currently have, and yeah, so hopefully we'll be actually able to move forward with that soon.
Nick?
Yeah, there has been a camera speed thing in the village in Dulford last week, was there? Where they registered your speed going in just before the mill?
Okay.
Because I did notice it. Unfortunately, it did flash up a little bit red for somebody I knew who drove past. That's how I noticed it. But they So I presume there's already things started happening on that.
I think some of the residents did actually mention that there was something, and yeah, that would explain it then. They weren't sure what it was, so yes.
Hopefully it didn't mention me personally, but I did spot it. Too late.
Chris, how many residents have you got who are interested in becoming neighbourhood speed watch?
The last I did compile a list. It was around about it's about 14, 16 residents that are ready for the training. Which was quite a good result, really. They did actually take do the survey around Dulford of what their priorities would lie in areas they'd like to move forwards towards their priorities. And to be fair, the speed watch was lowest on the list, but I believe that is because people have tried to get speed watch going and nothing has come of it. Most residents seem to be focused on the potential for a speed camera, or some sort of traffic calming measures was the second choice, and the third choice was the request of official monitoring of traffic. And I think Speedwatch came in like 5th or 6th on the choices, but yeah. Speedwatch is the thing that we've actually gained some ground on at the moment.
Well, I think the important thing about Speedwatch, Chris, is that you will get data.
Yes.
You get data about speed and volume of traffic, and you're never going to be able to proceed on the other things without data. So it's an important step to something else.
Yes, I believe so.
I think that's probably the way it needs to be sold to the people, because the whole issue of, catching people is, not a very motivational thing, is it? But moving on to something which is more what people want might be better.
I think with Speedwatch actually taking part in Dulford, it will make people feel like something's actually happening for a change. And there are a lot of people that want to be active and trying to at least take part in combating with speed.
Okay, thank you. Rural roads, traffic and hazards on the A373. The hazard on the A373 is the bend at Upton, I think, isn't it? Somebody, is it Dyer or Viv?
Yeah, I think we had some correspondence from a parishioner about the exit from Upton onto the 373. I've had a discussion again with Philip Morgan about it some time back, and he was going to approach traffic. And I think the lady in question herself, Keith, help me out, I think she has had a response from a county body as well, but I know no more than that. Keith, you're on mute, Keith. Keith, you need to unmute. Yeah.
I've been up there and driven out, and yes, it's not good, but I don't really know, without pushing part of the Devon banks down, what the devil's going to do about it. I don't really think too many accidents happen up there.
I think it is one of these ones that is dependent on the number of traffic incidents, sadly. It's an unfortunate way of arranging things, but that's how they go. So that's why the traffic division, I think, was going to be involved.
Okay, so we have to reply to the person who wrote to us about this, don't we, Keith?
Yes.
Who's going to do that reply? Can you do it with Viv?
If Viv likes to drop me his thoughts in an email, then I'll put it all together and send it off.
Okay. Viv, you happy with that?
Yeah, I don't have a huge amount of information. I only what I gleaned from the emails, so fine.
Adrian?
Yeah, there was a second letter that came in from Claire Higdon at Crammer about land at Upcott Farm with the same thing in mind. But knowing the cantankerous old swine who owns that land, I suspect that there's zero chance of any track being put in place there.
That was a slightly different one. That was putting a footpath there, I think. This was removing part of a Devon bank so that there was a greater visibility. We discussed it at a parish council meeting a couple of months ago.
But in terms of the subject heading of hazards on the A373 and so on, because that was how she voiced it, wasn't it? The danger of walking on an A road.
Okay, well, you had already said that the landowner wouldn't countenance any of that suggestion, so that was kind of closed. Dyer, do you remember we talked some time ago at the parish council meeting about rural traffic speeds and what we could do for You remember horse riders, cyclists and walkers had all said to us, traffic goes too fast and passes them too close on narrow roads. And we were going to, when she was standing for re-election, although it was postponed for a year, we were going to construct a carefully compiled letter to the Police and Crime Commissioner, inviting her to have a think about it.
Yes, I have a vague recollection. That is a long time ago. We do need to do something. I was thinking that today when I was very nearly mown over by somebody.
And you remember we said that actually as the road passes the school, or at least passes the point in the school where the kids are dropped from the bus, you probably could legitimately say that there should be a speed limit there. Yes.
Well, certainly we haven't any signs on entry to the village. The village is technically a 30. But that's not advertised, and it seems that most road users are illiterate about that. Nick had spotted some amazing signs, which I think are brilliant, which say 20 is plenty, which I think we might be able to look into. They wouldn't be official. He's waving his hand, so he's probably got,
I know, Nick,
information on that.
The village is 60 because there's no street lighting. You can only have a 30 of the street lighting, I think.
There's a school sign. There's a school sign, so where you have a school sign, the speed limit reduces to 30.
It's on the same road, is it? It's off a deviation road.
Actually, Nick, to be honest, that is a common misperception. You do not have to have street lighting for a 30.
I'm sure that's what the highway code says, but
I feel confident enough about it to say I don't think you're right.
Okay, possibly.
The letter I had back from whoever it was, our police officer, said, firstly, that they had sampled the speed, which I don't believe, because the window he had for doing that, there wasn't any paraphernalia in the village and no conspicuous attendance. But more importantly, more usefully, he said, we need to maintain our road signs, our rumble strips, which have been covered over. He then helpfully said, but the Highways Authority has no money, so they wouldn't pay for it. And of course, it would be their responsibility to pay for those.
So, would you like to think about a carefully constructed letter that we could send, inviting them to perform a view about it?
Yes.
Would that be okay?
To whom? To Highways? To this?
Well, we've discovered on the Dulford thing, and interestingly, unless you go right to the Police and Crime Commissioner, nothing happens.
Very well.
Stuart.
The speed limit through villages in England, according to UK Parliament, is 30 miles per hour. Just so you know.
Okay.
That's written into law that the assumed speed limit in all villages is 30 miles per hour. May also be appropriate to consider 20 miles per hour.
Yeah, I know, but it's not actually indicated in all villages, is it? That's the issue.
No, but it was an answer to Nick's thing about the street lighting. You don't need street lighting. If it's in a village, it is 30.
Okay. All right. So Dyer, maybe I know you'll do this anyway, but a little bit of research before the letter might sort of make sure we can all get the right data. And we're going to do the reply to the person who wrote about the bend, aren't we? Item 11, grant to Parochial Church Council for graveyard maintenance. We've had a request for the grant. We've also had the accounts, which you know is our policy to see the report and accounts before we give out grants. So can I have a proposer and a seconder for the grant, please? Did we need to propose and Adrian to second? How much?
It's usually 350. I mean, I feel like given the fact that they've had no hatches, matches and dispatches this year, we ought to up it a bit. You know, I'd be happy to propose 500 quid.
What do the rest of you think? We have 500 quid in the budget for all grants, but what do the rest of you think?
Well, I noticed that the accounts are up to 2018. I do know that they've spent a substantial sum of money out of their capital. Their capital might look healthy because they've redone the cobbles by the Lich Gate, and they've also done work on the wall on the east gate.
So what do you think about Adrian's proposal? Are you supporting £500? Edwina?
Does seem a lot. I think
stick to the usual amount then. But Bob and I bang this one back every year. But from my point of view, it's a heritage asset of unmeasurable value, and I think we have to stand by it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
well,
all right.
Let's go with 350 then, unless you're going to say something different, are you, Viv?
No, I was going to ask if we had any other requests for grants. If we normally make a grant allocation of 500 and we've not had any more requests, then
we've had trip.
Good, but
we can only consider requests, Viv, when we've actually got the report and accounts. We also said we'd only take requests at the last meeting, but we deferred this one because we didn't have the data.
I think you misunderstand what I'm saying. Have we had any other requests from any other organisations? In the past, we've had Tail Valley Trust, I think.
Not formally yet, but we know others are in hand.
Right, in which case then we should stick with 350.
Okay, 350 to the churchyard then it is.
Yeah, I think Trip's going to come.
Yeah, okay, I'll close the item, Edwina.
Yeah.
Report from the CLT subcommittee. We've got 4 subgroups. Mike Drew is leading the one looking at eligibility, and he's put a paper together with some questions. Andrew Eaton-Hart and I are looking at the rules. We have to reply to the solicitor. The solicitor is then going to join the CLT subcommittee in one of these calls, and we'll work our way through the rules. Adam has been looking at the survey and is going to be in discussions with the survey providers, and then Adam is also our lead on tours and visits, so he's going to lead a tour of other CLTs within the neighbourhood. The next most important thing we need to do is agree the rules, so that will be the next thing. That the other things are important, but nothing can happen unless we've agreed the rules, so that's the next thing to happen. So for the parishioner who thought nothing had happened on the CLT, things are happening. It'd be nice just to say, yeah, CLT is formed, but we can't actually do that. It's got to be done legally and it's got to be done with agreement. So the work is in hand. Parish councillors can join the CLT subcommittee in a Zoom call at any time. It's entirely up to you. Nick has joined some of them. But are there any questions about where the CLT is going or what we're doing or what the thinking is? No, I can't see any. Okay, I'll press on. Appointment of clerk. Keith has indicated to us that he's going to retire, and Keith has kindly said he will remain until the September PC meeting, so his last day of employment will be the end of September. You've had a draft from me of the what the job is all about. Nobody's nodding.
Yes. Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
None of you responded to that, so I take it that you're happy with it.
Yes.
We need to advertise it, and then we need to think of some ways of dealing with the vast numbers of applicants we will get as a result of the advertisement. If we do get a large number of applicants, then I'll invite some of you to join a subcommittee to sift through them, but otherwise we should advertise publicly. So any ideas about how and where we do that? Adrian?
Yeah, DALC. I think we're paid up members of DALC, and I think they have a sort of situations vacant page on their website. They may be able to offer us all sorts of advice that we've already paid for in terms of employment contracts and so on and so forth. I think we should try them.
Okay. Any other ideas?
I think it also goes without saying locally by the website and parish magazine, etc.
Yep. Okay, Viv.
Presumably, we'll reach other parish clerks if we go through DALC, will we?
Well, the
yes,
the guy who's the clerk for Stockland is the trade union representative for parish clerks, and he has a network, and he said he will put it out to all of them within the locality. There's something like 58 people on his list. And the trend these days, Keith will roll about laughing, but the trend these days is for clerks to cover more than one parish council. So we'll see. There might be someone who's interested. Nick?
what about your lady, Adrian, who does your bookwork? Is she interested?
She's already clerked to 3 parish councils. I think Bob's right. I think they do several gigs at once. I don't know.
Okay.
Can you mention it to her in passing?
Well, there's nothing to stop any of you mentioning it to anyone and inviting. In fact, it says in the thing, talk to any parish councillor. And to be honest, at the end of the day, it's probably going to be someone to whom we've said, have you seen this? Are you interested? Rather than someone just applying to it, completely cold, knows nothing about the parish. After September, we will have a slightly tricky legal position, and that is that technically we're not constituted without a clerk, but don't worry about that at the moment. I'm sure we'll come up with a solution. So you're happy with the way the role is described, and you're happy to go ahead with that. There will be another occasion. It will be the September meeting to say thank you properly to Keith for his long service, which started even before I was on this parish council. Okay. Item 14, review of the car park for social distancing guidelines. This will make you laugh. We've been invited by government, anyone who owns a public car park, to review whether or not it's properly set up for social distancing. I think they may be thinking of enclosed car parks, and I think if they are, they're probably thinking of making every other space unusable in some way. Do you think we should do anything about the Memorial Hall car park?
No.
No. Just for those of you who are listening in on this call, which is what technically members of the public are now doing, the parish council owns the Memorial Hall car park, which is why we're asking the question. It's not the property of the Memorial Hall, in case you were looking perplexed. Okay, so we've considered that and decided not to do anything. Approval of the audit documents. The audit documents have been published on the website. You were also sent them by email. We also this year commissioned Sue Middleton to do a complete audit and expenditure analysis and draw a conclusion between her analysis and then the lines on the formal audit document. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for that, please? Because it needs to be submitted to the Audit Commission. Viv is proposing, Di is seconding. Okay. Thank you. Litter on roads. If we are going to do anything on this, what is it going to be? There was some quite interesting exchange between us about particularly punchy road signs and road signs which had been used in other parishes, typically up north rather than down south or west, who put things a little more bluntly.
Yes.
But is there anything we really can do, or are we sort of not able to do anything significant here? In which case we're sort of signalling that we're giving up, to be honest. Viv?
Yeah, I think we should be able to access some fairly cheap signs that we could put in lay-bys. You often get landowners or local residents putting little bespoke signs that saying, please take your litter home, clearly in spots where people stop for lunch and leave litter. It'd be quite nice to have some fairly cheap and simple signs that say, Broadhembury Parish Council, please take your litter home. And maybe that will just get the message out around the parish if we had, say, 15, 20 of them in spaces where we know people stop on a regular basis.
Do you think that'll make a difference?
Yeah.
What do the rest of you think? Adam? Adam, did you want to speak?
Sorry, yes, I do. I agree with Viv. I think if we have someone at the moment seems to be monitoring the amount of litter between Colleton, Cross and Luton, that's a good chance to see whether anything we do works. Some of the signs are quite elaborate, so it seems to me there's a problem in lay-bys, but there's always also a problem of people throwing stuff out of the window. If people are going to read a sign going whilst they're driving, then you probably have to split the sign up into words like, they advertise fates, so they, would say sort of don't leave litter, whatever. We could decide a slogan, but having an elaborate sign that people are expected to read whilst they're driving. But I think it would be a good idea if we did something like that to choose a stretch of road and see whether we can achieve some result by reducing litter if that person who walks his dog is still collecting it.
Okay, so you're suggesting we do a pilot study on a particular stretch of road.
Yes.
Adrian, were you going to come in?
Yeah, just very briefly to say that I had a look at the Keep Britain Tidy website, and they have a celebrity ambassador who happens to be a parishioner of ours. So there's actually some advice on there, and I think Adam's right. I think let's just pick a section that we know is a problem and tackle it using that advice and see what happens.
She is. She didn't respond to my email, and actually a lot of the litter was collected from outside her house.
I don't think it was ours.
Okay, so we'll give it a try on a pilot stretch of road. Since I know the litter picker on this stretch of road well, I'll think of a form of words, and then we'll sort of think where we could actually place it. I guess we might have to place the signs on private land, mightn't we?
Yes, may, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let me think some more on that. Actually, Dyer, there was also a strip by you, wasn't there, where you were picking up cans of lager?
I think it's the same person, to be honest. It's extraordinary. It's placed rather than scattered at times. You think, how on earth can that particular type of item be where it is?
What, to have a drink from it on the way back?
I don't know. It's bizarre. And I noticed yesterday when I was walking around the back of Ladies Mile, another 6 cans, and they're all sort of in approximately the same place. So that must be where the can bottoms out. So yes, I mean, the signs are a good idea, but I think we have a particular person who might need a little bit of, I don't know, help or exposure. I don't know which way around is the best.
Person with Stuart, I'll let you speak on this if you want to.
Right, it's Nikki Jolly. Yeah, so I was just thinking of what Dyer was saying, because my children and I quite often pick up litter on that stretch of road from Broadhembury or from Windwhistle to Broadhembury. And actually we came to the same conclusion that it must be the same person doing it, because it would be the same, we were picking up the same items of litter in about the same place. So that person must have been coming along, throwing something out their window, and they've got themselves into a routine of it.
Okay, Nikki, do you have a solution?
I don't know. I don't know if like you say, whether the signs will work when people are driving along. I think if you're that kind of person to throw something out your window, are you really the person that's going to read a sign and take notice of it?
You're suggesting you can't read either.
No, they maybe can't.
Okay.
So perhaps set up a trail cam to try and catch a registration number or something, but that's my only thing I could think of. Dan? Can't hear you, Dan.
Sorry. I was going to suggest that could we use a covert camera at locations where we do have significant accretions of rubbish? Maybe a motion activated camera.
How would it work? How would it work? Would someone have to sit through all the footage, even if it's only motion activated?
Oh, I guess we would, wouldn't we, to understand what was happening there, but how regularly it's happening.
Okay, Stuart, do you know the answer to that question?
Yeah, so when I said trail cam, they're motion activated cameras you put up on wildlife trails to catch things. When something goes past, it'll snap an image. So you won't have hours and hours of footage. You'll just have individual images as and when something goes past.
All right, so you get a still. Nick, your son was offering to do this for us, wasn't he?
It would be it would be video, a short clip of video. So if someone was throwing litter, you would see that action take place.
Okay.
Is this actually technically legal without signage to say you're videoing people?
You're probably right, but
it has been tried on a certain part of Ladies Mile, but I thought a 9-year-old was possibly, well, a bit below the age, so we tried it. We haven't had any luck yet, but we've been trying for the last 10 days.
Okay.
Yeah, technically, are you not videoing wildlife?
Well, I think
and a person happens
absolutely, because as we know from lockdown now, deer are using public highways more often, so that's a valid. No, I think I know that they've been used to capture fly tipping, but I don't know if that is just on private land or not. There is, yeah, you'd have to take guidance from the police, I would imagine, with regards to that, because you've got the rip
My
rap.
9-year-old son isn't very good, but he does have the road quite well. But whether he's meant to do it or not, but at 9 years old, how the hell would he know? That's
Okay.
how we worked on. So,
all right. Well, let's start with the cheaper solution, which is the signs on a strip, and let's just see if we actually get anywhere. Meanwhile, thanks to everyone who persistently picks stuff up. And if you're walking out and about, as Viv told us years ago, if you leave rubbish in wintertime, it gets washed down into the drains, and then we have another problem. Quite apart from it being unsightly and unhygienic, since it now contains face masks and plastic gloves, as well as all the usual other stuff. Fortunately, what we don't get here yet are syringes, for example, which they're getting in other parishes in the Blackdown Hills, plus a lot of other rubbish. So, you know, it's not quite as bad as it is elsewhere. It could be a lot worse, and it might get a lot worse unless we try and do something about it. Okay, I'll take that on since it's on a strip of road I know well. I shall position the litter picker behind a hedge, and she can sit out there all night in a tent. Climate alleviation ideas, the same applies there. We haven't actually made any progress on any of those ideas other than the stuff which Adam has been doing and the stuff which Adam and I have done, which is quite small scale. We had the excuse that during lockdown, you know, we had enough to do, which is fine, except lockdown has thrown into relief again what can actually happen to the climate if nobody is going anywhere and burning fuel and rushing around. So is there one other idea we could take on from that list of things which the parish responded to? Adam, were you going to speak? Adam, you're on mute.
Yeah. I said last meeting I would do some research on repair cafes, and there's quite a lot online. There's been a good one recently in Axminster. 46 items were repaired, £200 was raised. They do more than sharing skills, because you can do online a carbon audit of what is saved. So in the greater scheme of things, that's something we could plan for in the future. And I'd be happy to try and start that off with anyone who wanted to help.
Okay, thank you. In the meantime, if you come across any parishioner with particular skills at fixing things, maybe an engineer who's retired, enlist him or her for future repair cafe. I think that would be the way to do it, wouldn't it, Adam? Okay. Sorry, did I miss anyone there? No. September PC meeting. I think we need to plan at the moment to have a September PC meeting using this platform, unfortunately. Jackie, we'd love to come back to the hall. It's actually much easier for me, believe it or not, in the hall, and I guess for other people as well. So if we feel able to do that, and we're given the okay to do that by government regulation, then we will do so. But I suspect we're not going to know perhaps until the last minute. So we'll just have to leave it like that. There is nothing that we're not doing or not progressing just because we can't meet physically, because we found ways of doing it. Agreement with the Broadhembury Community Centre CIO, re the use of the car park on the land. I just want to check with you. We decided not to send a letter because we thought the expenditure of £2,000 on solicitors' fees was too much. Is that the correct recollection? Edwina's nodding, but Edwina, you're also trustee of the hall, so you can't nod.
That's my recollection. It was thought that, yeah, that it was just a bit pricey for what we wanted.
Okay, Edwina, when is the next trustees meeting? Can't hear you.
Saturday coming.
Okay, I haven't had the letter you told me they were sending me to say that they were confused. But if and when I get it, then I suggest I'll just pop along and explain to them that they're not going to get a letter now, if you think that'll work.
Yes, I mean, I thought you'd have had the letter, but yeah. Anyway, it's this Saturday coming.
Okay, thanks. Review of the pandemic response. All of those people who responded to be the point of contact, in actual fact, it came out at 17 people. So it's not just the numbers that we listed on the notice board. Have done a superb job, actually, and we owe them our thanks. But apart from that, just to go back over it, is there anything else that we should or could have done, or anything that we should now do? Because let's just assume, to be a bit sort of negative about it, we have another pandemic in the winter. I think we need to be ready to respond. As it happens, we responded way before East Devon District Council did, but that was only due to the goodwill of the people themselves who were willing to look after their own particular hamlets or communities. So what else should we be doing, and how do we thank those people? Nick?
I think we just carry on how we did it last time, because, well, I'm still doing stuff for people who are in the high risk zone, and it seems to be working all right, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just leave it, just carry on. We don't need any gratitude or anything, just do what we do, isn't it?
Okay, anyone else? All right.
I think the bottom line is it's a village. Or it's a parish, a small parish. Everyone knows everyone, and you know, that's how we operate.
What about just a thank you in the actual parish magazine for everyone that's been supportive of each other? It's just a short thank you. That would, you know, I'm sure people would appreciate that.
Yep. Okay. All right. Any other business? And then just to alert you so you can think about it, I want to put a motion that we go into private session to discuss a commercial proposition. So you can all think about that, because I know it's a sensitive issue. But any other business first? Chris?
The only other business side which I forgot to mention was the Dulford sign that I've had residents asking about. How can it move forward to be replaced? I know there was discussion before about the costs, which is why previously through emails I did put forward that perhaps the Dulford residents could raise some of that money towards the cost of the sign.
What do the rest of you think about that? Was it 450? Remind me.
I think it was about just about. I thought it was about 400. I think so.
Okay. What do the rest of you think about that? Should we be? You know, county came back and said it's not us, it's you. We said, oh my God, how did you make that out? Why is it so expensive? Someone's walked off with a sign. Can we have it back? Can we prosecute the person? Nick tracked down the person who knocked it down, but he's now dead, so that's not going to work. So what do? Do we just fork out the 450? It'd be quite nice to indicate to Dulford actually that we do care about them. And before you say it, Kurzweil, you can have a sign too if you've lost one.
I think it would be, whether it's some of the money or all of the money towards the sign, I think it would be a nice gesture that Dulford have been coming together to, like, under your suggestion regarding Speedwatch and setting up the meetings with the councillors. So in a way, it would be nice to say that they've been active. Here's I suppose in a way, not necessarily a reward, but we are trying to look after you too.
What do the rest of you think? Adam?
I really think it will make a difference to the traffic speed through the village. So irrespective of the cost, I think it should be done as soon as possible, because if it saves one life or an accident, it's well worth the money. And in the scheme of things, someone has to pay for it, whether it's East Devon County or the parish. It's really immaterial. It comes from the same pot. So I think it should be done ASAP.
Okay, Chris, do you want to propose that we support the introduction of a sign for Dulford to the tune of 450?
Yes.
Right, I'll take it you propose that and I'll second it. Anyone disagree? No? Okay, can we leave it to you to organise it? We don't mean a hand-painted one for 450.
Yes, no, that's fine. Okay, yes.
And it'd be quite nice if it had along the bottom something like Home of Speedwatch.
Yeah.
Pick up your litter.
And also paid for by parish council, just so people go past it. It's all writing, just to get it right across, I think.
Okay, and next time when the other one is knocked down, we need to catch the culprit before it's too late. Any other business? Adam? Adam, you're on mute.
Sorry, the mouse battery's going. Just to report very briefly on the car park. I'd like to do another morning session in the autumn on the wildflowers to get more wildflowers. And also, if I do any maintenance in the car park, I'll email around, see if anybody would like to help. I think it's about 3 or 4 days maintenance per annum on the car park. So that would, anyone who can help would be very useful. Hedge trimming and weeding, etc. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Dyer?
Yes, sorry, two things related to parks. There's a stile at Kerswell, which I think I know Stuart wrote to EDC about it. Mary Keegan had written to the Parish Council. I've responded to that. I was wondering if anything has happened with regards to the replacement of that stile. I've been down, my husband and I deconstructed the dangerous parts of it. The stile in itself is redundant unless the landowner requires it as a barrier between the two fields. But our funds are very limited in the Ways budget. So if we can avoid having to pay for it and get EDC to pay for it, that would be better. And the other issue is with Stafford Hill, fallen trees up there. I've approached the Cathcarts, who I had believed owned the woodland adjacent to the track where a couple of trees have fallen. It sounds to me that they believe that is Drew land, so I will contact Mike about clearing those trees and doing some maintenance of the woodland up there, because this will be the 4th tree this season, which needs to be cleared. The previous 3 we've cleared out of our budget.
Okay, thank you. So you don't want us to do anything, do you? You're just telling us what you're going to do.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
One needs to speak to me, they can email me.
Great, thanks. Adrian?
Is it a timely point in the cycle to send out an email to Selina Tulloch requesting a meeting?
Dan, where are you? What do you think? Dan, where is Dan?
I think he left. I heard a ding and he disappeared.
I think, Stuart, you don't need to answer this. I'm pretty certain that we've never had any access to the Kerswell Section 106 money and don't actually know what it is. So actually, I could write to the person at East Devon District Council and actually ask her how much it is and where it is. So that's something that we need to do anyway, Dan, because we need to chase Selina on the money we've been trying to get out of her for the last 3 years.
Yeah, there was a consultation there, wasn't there?
Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
My battery just died, so I've missed the last 5 minutes. I do apologise.
Okay, we need to chase Selina to keep pressing on getting the money. This Christmas, it will be 3 years since Adrian and I and Edwina sat down with her and said, how do we get this money? Can we get it? And ever since then, it's been a complete pain.
But we've reached the basic agreement of release of the 2 pots of money for the community, the open space, the young person money and the playground money. We still need to follow up the design from our local artist. I do have concerns that might not suffice in terms of an approved design that the council would agree to, but until we go through that process, we don't know. I need to convene a meeting of the playground council and push things on. I apologise for not having done more thus far.
That's all right. That wasn't the purpose of me asking. I mean, it's because Adrian asked when should we chase Selina. Adrian.
Well, we know it's really in our hands at the minute, because they've indicated that they're in principle, you know, they understand. We've done the consultation. They haven't agreed that the sports money would be released based on the consultation made.
No, okay,
all
right.
But we bounced back with the provision of football facilities within the playground. And
okay,
not really
all right, Dan. Adrian.
Yeah, just very briefly to say that. I mean, I think you've done everything that she asked of you, Dan. So you know, I think we've got to start throwing it back at her. And I'd wake up Philip Skinner as well. I can't remember the last time we saw Philip, but I think he should be fighting this one for us, for the whole parish.
We did ask him before, if you remember.
I think we've got to keep on nagging. Nag.
Keith? You're on mute, Keith. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're okay, Keith?
Okay. Right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, we had sort of 80 quid, 90 quid of the CIO money. Then last year we had 90. And now, 2 days ago, in came 2,000.
Ah.
From what? About what?
The CIO doesn't say on the leaflet at all. I just saw it in the bank, and when we printed off, it just said CIO money.
No remittance email or anything?
What it represents of what?
Okay, well, that's the first I've heard of it, so we just need to see what it is.
It only came day before yesterday.
God, it's amazing, isn't it, the way this thing works? Absolutely incredible. Okay, well, we need to investigate that. Stuart, I'll come back to you on the money associated with Kerswell Barnes, which is what you asked.
We never believed that you actually held that money. What we were aware. Yeah, we were aware that the parish council had access to it through East Devon District Council. That's what we wanted to try and figure out.
Yeah, we have. I mean, access is a loose word. As you can see, it's taken us 3 years to get money, and then one day it just kind of turns up. So we need to just find out.
Well, I'm certainly more than happy to add my support in that, and if that means you trying to get other members of the village to write letters to the East Devon District Council to release it to Broadhembury Parish Council, then we can do that. So just let us know what you'd like us to do and support.
Okay, thanks. Any completely different other business? Viv?
Yeah, just to thank colleagues for bringing to my attention the hole on the BT cover on the road up to Broadhembury. They came and had a look after about 2 hours, but I don't know whether anything's been done. I haven't been up there recently, so if somebody's up there on a regular basis, can let me know if work happens or whether I need to hassle them again.
Okay, thank you. So those of you, the members of the public who've joined us, I hope that we have sufficiently excited you that you will join us at the next meeting. Because we do usually in the hall, we do get quite a few people coming along, but actually it's been a bit difficult for people, given both broadband, given technical skills, given time and so on to join us, but do join us at the next meeting. And my apologies, I need to put a proposal now that we need to go into private session. The reason is that we have to discuss a commercial proposition, which we're allowed to do by law. I can't do it on my own. I can propose it, but I need a seconder and I need people to agree. So Edwina's seconded it. Do you all agree that we can do that? Yep, okay. So all of you who are members of the public, thank you very much for joining us, and please do keep in touch with us. Cheerio.
Thank you.